Thank you all very much. It's quite an honor for me to be here, and you know, I could not help but look at the poster there for the symposium. More than you can imagine. We can only imagine what Dr. Goddard would say if he were sitting in this room today. I think he would be very pleasantly surprised. I like to say that, you know, at NASA we turn science fiction into science fact. We have the privilege of doing that, and it's something that not very many agencies in the government can do, and not many organizations anywhere. So that's one of the things that's really fun about being able to get up each morning and come to work. Rob, I want to thank you very much for the kind introduction. Thanks very much to AAS for the invitation to be here and the opportunity to introduce a very good friend of mine, Dr. John Holdren. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that you always get in trouble when you acknowledge people in the audience, but there's one very special person because she is a longtime mentor of mine. I had the privilege of working with her at NASA headquarters when I was there back in 92, 93, and that's Dr. Harriet Jenkins, who's sitting down on the right-hand side, the third row back. Harriet, it is so good to see you, and delighted to have you here. And I can see that there are a number of other astronauts in the audience, so I expect to be chastised and corrected about many of the things that I might say here in the course of my remarks. We have never been bashful about correcting each other or elsewhere, otherwise, but so I expect no less today. And I do want to say that I think we're going to have an opportunity to do questions and answers, but the plan is we'll hold them until after Dr. Holdren has spoken, and then we'll try to not kill two birds with one stone. You all might take me literally there, but we'll try to just do one Q&A session. No killing birds with stones. You know, I want to say this is my second time out here in the area of Greenbelt and the Goddard Spaceflight Center in 2 days, and it is an incredible pleasure to be here. We do a lot of the fun things that NASA has an opportunity to do at Goddard. And I think most of you know that I like to brag to people who know nothing about NASA that nothing comes to Earth without coming through here, communications-wise. You know, it comes here, it gets processed, gets sent back to White Sands, and then it goes other places. But everything comes here that NASA uses anyway. So it's quite a unique place. It's a great time for all of us to be in the aerospace field, and some of you might question that statement. But I think it's true because we're actually on the cusp of some discoveries and of opportunities to do things that the nation has never had the opportunity to do before. The disconcerting part about it is that so much lays ahead of us and so many opportunities are there, and yet we find ourselves struggling with finding the funds to do what it is we know we can and must do. And therein lies the challenge. So what's incumbent for all of us, because we all have leadership positions in some way, shape, form, or fashion, is to find innovative ways to do the things that we know we have to do. It's incredible to see the young people here from all over the country, but I will give a shout out to the ones from the University of Illinois in particular. I met one or two earlier, and I understand you all came in a van or several vans. Is that right? Who organizes this thing? Who's the organizer back there? I see one hand go up. Are you a professor?
No, I'm a student.
You're a student also. What gave you this idea? What possessed you to come, this close to Washington, D.C.?
This is our 6th year in attendance. Our Philadelphia Society exists every year. All of the students love it.
So now do you make it worth, or do we help make it worth your while? Do you get to tour Goddard and do other kinds of things, and any of the companies around here let you in, or they lock you out?
Yeah, we get to tour Goddard.
Okay. Good. And I'll put in a pitch for them. They need jobs. All right? I know times are hard, but we can probably find some way to bring this talent in, you know, if only for a pittance. They didn't want to hear that part. You know, I know that many of you here are associated with the Goddard Spaceflight Center that's just down the road. And I want to thank all of you for the work that you do, the tremendous work that you do. A lot of you support the Hubble Space Telescope, to which I'm a little partial, since I assisted in deploying it from the shuttle Discovery as a part of the STS-31 crew a long time ago, back in 1990. And that in itself speaks just loads for Hubble and for the team that put it together. The fact that, you know, that's a lifetime ago. 1990, just stop and think about it. And today it is a better observatory than most people ever dreamed it would be, and it has helped us to rewrite textbooks. It's revolutionized the way we look at our universe. So again, I thank everybody who's here at Goddard and people associated with the Goddard Space Flight Center for the great work you do. As I said earlier, I think Dr. Goddard would be amazed that Hubble is just one of many, many incredible things that NASA and the aerospace field continues to create for the betterment and wonderment of humankind. I also want to say that human spaceflight has a very bright future. We have 2 more flights of the space shuttle, including the last flight of Endeavour, STS-134, in just 3 weeks, presently scheduled for April 19th, and the final flight of Atlantis, STS-135, coming up in June. Over 3 decades now, this flagship program has become part of the fabric of our nation's history. It has helped the United States to lead the world in space exploration. It's helped us improve communications on Earth and to understand our home planet better. It's set scientific satellites like Magellan and Ulysses speeding on their missions into the solar system, and launched Hubble and Chandra to explore the universe. The shuttle program has given us tremendous knowledge about a reusable spacecraft and a launch system from which future commercial systems will benefit. It's enabled construction of the International Space Station, our anchor for future human exploration, which is leading to breakthroughs in human health and microgravity research. And it's provided first ever astronaut flight and command opportunities for women and minorities. Not something that anybody ever thought about, I don't think, maybe other than Harriet. But that is perhaps one of its greatest contributions to our society. The fact that through the 30 years of shuttle's continuous operation, we have introduced people to spaceflight who in this nation would have never had an opportunity to do that. I'm one of them, and I thank you. The shuttle's retirement is bittersweet for us, as you can tell by my voice. But at NASA, we're also very excited about our future. The human spaceflight program will continue with astronauts living and working on the International Space Station for at least 10 more years. If we stick to the ambitious plan laid out by President Obama, multiple made in America capabilities for reaching low Earth orbit will also come online during this time. Most of you probably know the basics about President Obama's fiscal year 2012 budget request for NASA. The President has asked for $18.7 billion for the coming year. This budget requires us to live within our means so we can invest in our future. But it maintains our strong commitment to human spaceflight and new technologies. It establishes critical priorities and invests in excellent science, aeronautics research, and education programs that will help us win the future. And if we're going to win, as the President says, we'll have to out-innovate, out-educate, and outbuild all others in the world. At its core, NASA's mission has remained fundamentally unchanged over the 50-year history, and this mission supports our vision to reach for new heights and reveal the unknown, so what we do and learn will benefit all humankind. kind of fluffy words, but they came about as a result of a need that we felt in the leadership of NASA to help our employees understand why they get up in the morning. You know, I will say the same thing to you, and hopefully all of you do your lives this way. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to know why we get up and why we go out. You know, why do you come to work, or why do you go to class? You really need to know that, because if you don't, it makes it very difficult to get through what you do. I know exactly why NASA exists. I have known it from the day I heard the acronym, and it really hasn't changed through time. One of the reasons that I get excited about getting up in the morning is because I know that we are going to affect people's lives in a positive manner, and we're going to change the world in a positive manner in which people live. So, as our vision says, we seek to reveal the unknown. We do things that other people cannot do. We reach for new heights because we can and because it's in our DNA. And I know all the NASA employees here hopefully will echo what I say when I say that, because I tell them they need to know why they come to work. And when they ever get to the point that they wake up one morning and they're wondering why they're going to go, then it may be time to think about something else, because we need people of passion and people who are excited about what we do. We carry out our mission with a renewed commitment to focusing on what we do best, while empowering America's industry innovators and entrepreneurs to join us on this journey. What we do best is focusing on the next big horizon, the things that aren't possible yet, but are achievable if we work hard toward them and marshal our energies and talents as a nation, as a global people concerned with human achievement and exploration. Even in these difficult fiscal times, the President's budget supports all the elements of the bipartisan NASA Authorization Act of 2010 that lays out a framework that clears up the uncertainty about our space program's future direction. Our budget rededicates NASA to a national focus on reinvigorated research, development, and innovation. It gives us the means to win the future, a future that I think is going to be very bright. Because these are tough fiscal times, tough choices had to be made. Our number one priority, my number one priority as the administrator in the near term, is safely flying out the shuttle and carrying out our research and development activities on the International Space Station in a manner that maintains the safety and well-being of our U.S. and international partner flight crew members. We're steadfastly working to plan an integrated, comprehensive human spaceflight program for the future. The Heavy Lift Rocket, or Space Launch System, SLS, and Multi-Purpose Crew Vehicle, or MPCV, will be crucial to exploring all of our beyond Earth destinations. We plan to release plans for them this year in the late spring or early summer timeframe. Our efforts continue to focus on leveraging the assets and experience gained from the Constellation program to ensure early successes with the SLS and MPCV. Our commercial partners are making great progress on developing their capabilities for transportation to low Earth orbit. We're confident that commercial space is going to create an entirely new segment of the economy that will be a job-creating engine for decades to come. All these aspects work together so that we have transportation to the space station and are able to go farther into the solar system with humans. We've seen many milestones in the last few months. In December, SpaceX made history by becoming the first commercial entity to launch, orbit, deorbit, and safely retrieve a capsule. Stennis Space Center continues to have successful ground tests of the AJ-26 engine for Orbital Sciences Corporation's Taurus II rocket. Last Tuesday, our Wallops facility, located on Maryland Eastern Shore, inaugurated the Horizontal Integration Facility with Orbital as its first customer. It's a giant step forward in making the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport a hub of commercial space activity. But let me get back to science. There's a whole lot of great science taking place right now, a renaissance. NASA science missions are truly diverse. We count among them eyes on the sun and moon, wheels on Mars, probes speeding to the very edge of our solar system, and great observatories that are examining light from near the time of the Big Bang and spying on planets and other solar systems. These missions will help from our very many with help from our very many international academic and corporate partners have been rewriting our textbooks. It was my great pleasure a couple of weeks ago to visit the Mission Control Center at the Applied Physics Laboratory on the Johns Hopkins campus in Laurel for the Messenger spacecraft orbit insertion. Everyone was so excited about it and everything that was going on that it was infectious. Now, I think everybody knows I am not a planetary scientist, but even I got excited. You know, it's been 7 years since Messenger launched on August 3rd, 2004, not counting the mission development phase preceding that. And these scientists and engineers were watching years of hopes and dreams come down to little dots on a screen that represented information that was already 9 minutes old. As those dots progressed, we were pretty much all holding our breath. But eventually, there came word that the spacecraft had successfully fired its thrusters and allowed itself to be captured in a stable orbit of Mercury. The first time this has ever been done. I'm so proud to be the head of an agency that is still doing such incredible things. Things never before done, such as the messenger orbit of the Sun's nearest neighbor, Mercury. Just yesterday, as has already been mentioned, Messenger began returning images from Mercury. The first image that I saw, and I think it was actually the first image that came down, was a region near Mercury's south pole, never before imaged by a spacecraft. They're up on our nasa.gov website, and they are amazing. But they're only the tip of what will be a very big iceberg. Coming up later this year, we're sending a rover the size of a small car to Mars, the Mars Science Laboratory. We call it Curiosity. The Dawn mission reaches the asteroid Vesta in July and begins a one-year orbital study before leaving Vesta's orbit. This feat itself is another first for a spacecraft. Dawn will then continue its journey, arriving at the asteroid Ceres in 2015. We're also launching Juno mission to Jupiter this summer. Finally, Grail launches later this year to study the moon's gravity. In low Earth orbit, the International Space Station remains our anchor for all future exploration. Over the next 10 years, in this amazing orbiting laboratory, we'll continue to collaborate with other nations to live and work together in space and perform cutting-edge research and technology demonstrations that are critical to our eventual exploration into deep space with humans. We've worked tremendously hard with nations across the globe to build the International Space Station, and now it's our toehold in space, a premier platform for microgravity research and the start of our journey outward. At the Kennedy Space Center, the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, or AMS, has been installed in the Space Shuttle Endeavour's payload bay and is ready to head to the ISS and teach us all about new and exotic matter and energy throughout the cosmos. The Goddard Spaceflight Center will be a significant user of ISS research capabilities. The robotic fueling mission developed at Goddard is at the Kennedy Space Center being ready for launch later this year. This technology demonstration will use the station's special purpose dexterous manipulator robot to conduct all the tasks involved in repairing and refueling a spacecraft not designed to be serviced on orbit. We all love space. For most of us, it's our livelihood and our passion, and it's the nation's future. Both philosophically and economically, space is where many of our greatest triumphs and potential lie. I'm not talking about decades. I'm talking about the very near future, as witnessed by the amazing things happening right now. Today, because of our investment in an exploration program that continues to innovate and push the limits of human experience and understanding. It's amazing how our field is unfolding, and I thank each of you for your dedication to it and your contributions to our future.